So the term artificial intelligence seem a bit confusing for a lot of people because it's all about AI this and AI that. Well, stick around because in this video, I will be teaching you everything you need to know about artificial intelligence and the world beyond. My name is Koketso Fresh and welcome to Billionaire Developers. All right, guys, so let's talk about the world of AI and the future and beyond, right? So today in this presentation, I'll be telling you everything you actually need to know about artificial intelligence. So have no fear because why? Koketso Fresh is here. So let's jump straight right into it. So what are we going to be talking about today? First and foremost, we're talking about introductions. What is artificial intelligence? Let's take it all the way back in terms of the history of artificial intelligence. We'll be looking at AI today. And the most important thing is why you should learn artificial intelligence today. And also, I'll be explaining some certain AI concepts that you might be hearing or not really familiar with. And obviously, let's look at the dark side of what AI is all about. But not everything's all doom and gloom. And then we'll be talking about the future and beyond of AI and the final closing. So, guys, let's jump straight right into it. First and foremost, let's talk about what is Billionaire Developers. Billionaire Developers' main goal is here we are trying to actually educate people about the world of tech and as well as gaming. So we're trying to bring the best of both worlds. But to get more into it, whether you are a beginner, whether you are a someone that has some experience, someone that even has expertise, there's something that you'll definitely learn within this journey. So stick around, make sure that you actually tune in, and I'll be dropping a lot of videos for you guys where I'll be demystifying a lot of AI concepts, a lot of tech concepts, a lot of gaming concepts, and moving forward. But you're probably asking yourself, who is this guy that you guys are talking to, right? So as I mentioned, my name is Koketso Fresh. I am the founder of Billionaire Developers as well as the senior tech lead and the tech content creator. But a bit about myself is that I am a full-time AI certified software engineer, and I've worked with the likes of Google, Microsoft, IBM, Binance, AWS, and the list goes on. But this is not really about me. And let's talk about the thing we are here for is what exactly is artificial intelligence, right? So, in layman's terms, artificial intelligence is when we are teaching computers to learn from experience and make decisions on their own, right? So, think about it this way: we are basically trying to teach machines or computers or devices to have human like qualities, right? So, most importantly, we need to know is that AI is when we teach computers to learn from data, make decisions, and solve our problems. Those are the three main key things that we need to understand about AI. But there's a lot of misconceptions and people don't really understand about AI, right? So here are some myths that I want to clarify for you guys. Is first and foremost, AI is not a robot with feelings, right? Any machine, as you can see, has no feelings whatsoever. Number two is AI is not magic, right? As you guys will stick around, I will be actually telling you guys how we actually develop these AI machines, AI models, and moving forth. And thirdly, AI does not think like a human being, right? So think about AI as a very, very smart machine, but you actually need to give it specific instructions to actually get the desired outcome. So, what are the things that we actually need, for AI to actually work? So, first and foremost, it's data, right? So, we need to have accurate and up to date data because if we feed garbage, we will obviously receive garbage, right? So, what do I mean by data? So, data in terms of spreadsheets, in terms of websites, in terms of social media, right? We're gathering all of this data because that's how artificial intelligence learns. It learns purely from data. The more data you have, the more accurate and the better it gets. Number two, it's the training, right? So I talk about training. So we need to teach these AI models how to actually think and how to actually produce these predictions and these outcomes, right? So the better our data is, and the more enhanced our training algorithms are, the better the predictions and the outcomes become. And last and foremost, it's the power, right? So AI runs on a lot of computing power because that's why we have all of these data centers, right? So because AI really does depend on a lot of power. But let's take it all the way back. Let's take it way, way, way back where it all began. So let's just have a second and look at this slide for a second. So in 1950, right, this is where Alan Turing, we call him the godfather of computer science. Well, he was the first person who actually came up with the concept that can machines really think, right? So he actually had a machine called the Turing test, which is the first thinking machine. And fast forward years later, in 1956, this is where AI was born, and it was coined by the man called John McCarthy, which we call him the godfather of AI, right? Because he actually coined the term at the Dartmouth conference. Moving along, then we start seeing, engineers and computer scientists start teaching machines with rules and having expert systems. But the really cool thing, what happened in like the 1970s is AI then started, becoming more popularized, and AI actually starts beating the first human machine. So what I mean by the first human champion is IBM's Deep Blue actually went head to head with a grandmaster, which is Gary Kasparov, which he is a grandmaster in chess. So IBM's Deep Blue actually beat him, and that actually sparked a whole rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning, cloud data, and so forth, right? So now, if we look at AI today, right, if we look at the tech of today, we have, I don't think there's actually had a more exciting time or a very exciting boom like in the AI industry, in the tech industry, like AI, because we have generative AI, we have RAG, we have LLMs, we have AI of things, and obviously we are familiar with your chat GPTs and Geminis and so forth. So this is just a clear, another clear picture of, at the top there you can see that's Alan Turing, and then you can see John McCarthy there, and then right there in the middle you can see poor Gary, where he actually lost to IBM's Deep Blue. So moving right along, and let's look at AI today, guys. One thing you need to know is AI is everywhere, right? AI is everywhere. If you can look at it, even on your smartphones, in healthcare, in agriculture, in construction, law, finance, space, AI is literally everywhere. We have, or we use certain types of AI everywhere we go today, right? So let's look at the kinds of AI I'm talking about. So let's look at facial recognition, right? So when you have an iPhone and actually you scan your face on it, that is actually facial recognition. Sometimes when you can see movies where, when you have to access, you have to use either your eyes or your whole face or your hand. That is also biometrics, but obviously it forms part of facial recognition. Voice assistants, right? So when you call your Siri, hey, can you please direct me to whatever, or when you interact with any machine through voice, that's what we call voice assistants. Recommendations, right? So let's look at like your Netflix. Whenever you watching a certain series, it will always suggest something similar towards that, because it's learning from the algorithm that, okay, so this person might actually like this type of content. And navigation, right? So when we look at Google Maps, or you looking at Uber, or it will always use navigation to actually find the best routes to go to places. So let's also look at, in other fields of AI in business, where we have data analytics, where, as I mentioned, when we have correct data, the cleaner the data, or the most up-to-date data is the best data. AI can also help you with automation. So automation is basically like repetitive tasks, repetitive things like, maybe starting up how your machine, how when you start your machine, or setting up your emails. And then we have chatbots. So chatbots are, it's more for assistance, right? So have you ever seen like most websites, when you log onto them, there's always a chatbot that will always ask you about frequently asked questions, and they can actually assist you in that. And then we have fraud detection, right? So this is where cybersecurity is also going to be a very big a game changer, because the more AI that comes in, the more fraud detection that will be on the rise. So let me just give you some real world stats here, right? Not to really bore you with numbers, but we need to look at 46% of businesses and productivity uses AI currently, right? And 38% is also used for consumption, and 15% is used for creativity and emerging AI. So this is where generative AI, where we creating images, we creating videos, comes in. And most importantly, we need to know that AI right now, it is one of the most booming industries right now. And we're looking at like $100 million, right? And it's still growing. So looking at it more on a global scale is that 50% of AI is already helping in automation, assisting developers in terms of making code and making better decisions. 30% right now AI is in software and in development, and 20% is in AI innovation and exploration. So this is where a lot of you will see tech people like myself, will dabble into AI and actually grow and expand. So if you look at currently in Google Trends, so I took this just before the beginning of this year. So Google Trends actually showed that there is quite a huge boom and a quite interest in the world of AI. But the most important question you need to really ask yourself is why you should learn AI today. I always say the best time for you to learn how to code or learn about AI was probably 20 years ago. The second time to learn AI was, when the fourth industrial revolution came. But the best time to learn AI is now, and let me tell you why. All right. So first and foremost, as I mentioned, AI is everywhere. If you look at it, AI is here to stay, and it's not going anywhere. AI right now is creating a lot of opportunities. We're looking at new jobs, new tools, and new industries that have not existed before. All right. AI will also boost your career, right? So if you look at things like taking accreditations, taking short courses, it will also make sure that you are, boosting your career, and you are setting yourself for really great opportunities. AI works with your work. So AI is here to help you, not to replace you. I always tell people that AI is here just to, as an assistant, and not, to completely eradicate you as a workplace. But you need to be very careful, because if you do not grab the opportunity for yourself to actually learn AI skills today, you might see yourself in trouble in the next 3 to 5 years. Right, so AI is still young and it's still early. So that's what I'm saying, guys. This is the perfect time to jump onto the bandwagon of AI and learning about all things AI. There's no greater time to learn AI than today, right? So, and the thing is, AI is for everyone, right? You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be having PhDs. You don't have to have MBAs, guys. AI is for everyone. I'm talking about even kids of today are learning AI. So this is the perfect opportunity for you to learn AI. Now, let's look at like the future. How does the future of AI look like? So I've just shown you guys, these are just some of the typical, future jobs that you guys will actually be hearing more often moving into the world of AI. So we've got AI, we've got data, and we've got cloud. These are the three most important areas in the tech industry as a whole. That's really, really quite important, right? So one of the ones that's quite interesting for me is prompt engineering, right? So prompt engineering, it's one field where you don't necessarily need to learn or know how to code, like technical coding, right? You don't need to know Python, you don't need to know JavaScript, but prompt engineering, it's when you really have to, describe what the AI needs to do. And have no fear, as time goes, I will be showing you guys properly proper ways of, prompting and so forth. Another really interesting one that I saw, it's AI ethical author, where, this person will be making sure that whatever submissions that you're doing, for instance, if you're writing a book, you will be able to detect if this person has used AI throughout their whole material, what's a thesis, whether they're doing their PhD. Another interesting one for me, it's also a generative AI developer. So generative AI, it's where a developer, it will be, responsible for generating things like your images, generating songs, generating videos, generating movies. This is a very, very interesting time. So another interesting one is it's, the gaming industry will also look, it seems very promising. But these are just some of the, jobs of AI, and the jobs of the future, where we'll be using them in medicine, we'll be using them in law, in education, in agriculture. So guys, I mean, I don't know what more to say, since is that if you're not really interested about joining AI today or learning about AI today, I really don't know. I really don't know. So let me just clarify some AI concepts that you guys have probably been hearing there and there. First and foremost, you need to understand what machine learning is, right? So machine learning is basic. It's when computers just learn from data, right? Instead of programming them step by step, right? So remember, I said we need to feed in the data, then we need to train them, right? And then obviously it will produce the outcomes and predictions and make decisions. Then we have deep learning. So deep learning is also some sort of type of machine learning that uses layers, right? So it's inspired sort of like the human brain. So think about it this way: there's that deep learning. It's more of a specialized or a much more niche field when it comes to machine learning. Then we have natural language processing. So this is where your chat GPTs come in, right? So you type in something that, hey, chat GPT, I need this, or I want to find out about this. And then this is where the computer actually understands and talks in a human language, right? So obviously when you type something into chat GPT, it returns something either in text or in voice. Then we have computer vision, right? So this is just giving the computer abilities to actually see, to actually recognize images or actually recognize video. So look at self-driving cars, right? Self-driving cars, they also use computer vision as well. As I mentioned, generative AI, the one of the most exciting areas right now, was it creates, instead of relying on past data, it will look at past data, and also it will now start to create its own data content, right? So analyzing from past data. And then we have AI models and data. Yet again, I always talk about why AI models are quite important, so that AI models that learn patterns from data, so better data equals better AI. And also we have something called neural network. So this is like the brain of how AI actually thinks, right? But this is something that I will be talking more into further videos. So some of the concepts that you guys have also heard, in AI, it's things like AGI, things like vibe coding, things like responsible AI. You've probably heard about AI agents, you've heard about Python, you've heard about AI tools, algorithms, but have no fear. I will be having more videos where I'll be talking to you guys about these specific terms for you to really understand and grasp what AI terms are all about. But let's look at the dark side of things. Just because everything looks good on AI doesn't necessarily mean that. So there are some vulnerabilities and cons when it comes to AI. So let's look at the challenges that we are facing and understanding as people today. So first and foremost, we are so scared that AI is going to be taking our jobs, which I honestly do not believe that is true. Yes, AI to a certain degree will be replacing like mandatory small task jobs. So look at it like this way: nowadays when you go to certain restaurants, cashiers are no more needed, or tellers are no more needed, waiters are no more needed, because that's where AI has now stepped in. But as I showed you guys, there is a whole lot of new industries that are emerging just because of AI. Then we're going to be looking at bias and unfair decisions, right? So bias and unfair meaning, like, we're looking at gender, we're looking at race, we're looking at demographics, right? So AI needs to be inclusive. It needs to include people with disabilities, people with challenges. We need to include people from different races. We need to include people from different continents and so forth. So another one is lack of human understanding. A lot of people still have this understanding, or this thing of, they're scared of AI. They're scared to actually learn what AI is all about. Another thing is that over dependent on AI, so people are not taking initiative, because guys, AI is not always 100% correct. It is not always 100% correct. Privacy and security. This is going to be another big one where cybersecurity is also going to grow here, because obviously we're working with data. So data meaning we're working with very sensitive information, especially people that are working in the banking industry, people that are working in insurance. Those industries, privacy is a very, very, very high key thing. And then we have ethical and responsible issues. So ethical and responsibility issues is, this is where you as a person have to, bring in the good in you, like making sure that you use AI not in a malicious way, but just to be more productive and to help humankind. It's not really like machines versus humans kind of a situation. So another thing we need to look at is the lack of transparency. So lack of transparency, we call it the black box problem, right? So transparency meaning you're not really understanding what AI is all about, what this AI is doing with your information, and so forth. And then we have energy consumption. So as I mentioned, AI uses a lot of energy consumption, right? So that's also going to be an issue. Another thing is that AI does have hallucinations and it can output incorrect outputs. So, what does hallucinations mean? It just means that whenever you try to feed information to it or you ask information from it, it just seems to be giving you wrong information. So, as I said, AI is not 100% correct. Another thing is that it reduces human creativity and originality, right? So a lot of people, especially with students, I've seen that when they, try to solve a coding problem, they will just copy and paste it, and they don't even understand what the code is actually doing. So you really do not have to rely so much on artificial intelligence. As I said, it's more of an assistant more than anything. And obviously amplifying misinformation, it goes hand in hand with hallucinations, right? So if you have a lot of data that is just outdated, that is incorrect, that is biased, you are going to have, your results are really going to be dismal at that point. But not everything is all, all sad, doom and gloom. I honestly feel like there is more to AI than the good than good than bad. Right. So guys, the future of AI and beyond is looking bright. It's looking beautiful. It's looking promising. It's really looking like, things can actually really open up, especially in if you want to take this as a career. Right. So let's look at it in this way. As I mentioned, AI is everywhere, right? We're going to be looking at things like smart cities. We're going to be looking at personalized education, AI powered healthcare. We're going to be having AI pilots in everyday jobs, right? So these are just emerging, pros and cons of why AI is still around. So we need to also look at it's going to be humans plus AI collaboration. So humans and machines are going to be collaborative. It's not going to be humans versus AI. We're not trying to fight each other. We're trying to work with each other, right? So if we imagine like this, doctors will be using AI to diagnose diseases, right? We're going to be using developers are going to be using AI to write better code, to execute better code, to deliver better code, right? So the designers will be using AI for more creative work, for more bringing us more designs, more movies, So another important thing you need to understand, guys, is that AI won't be something you use. It'll be something around you. The future isn't AI versus humans, it is AI with humans. Guys, I could not have said that any better. Now, let's look at the future of AI, right? So, right now, AI is at a point where it is quite good at, really executing one task at a time. And as time goes, AI will be able to actually master different skills all at the same time. And this is where artificial general intelligence comes in, where AI systems that can perform many tasks and not just one, right? So one AI can learn anything and everything like a human, right? So us as humans, we know how to, we can play soccer, we can draw, we can talk, we can, we have all of these talents, but AI right now cannot handle all of that all at the same time. But in the future, where AGI comes in, that machines will be able to do all of those tasks. And another interesting one is AI plus cloud plus data at a massive scale. So what does this mean? We're going to be having AI powered global platforms, right? We're going to have edge AI where AI is now on devices. It's going to be, on our watches. It's going to be on our glasses. As you guys can see, we already have those Ray-Bans by Meta where, we're going to be having really cutting edge technology and that are making real-time decisions. Another thing we need to know is like we need to look at AI beyond software, right? So AI now we're gonna be seeing it in our in our brains. We're gonna be having chips in our brains. We're gonna be having AI driven drug recoveries. We're gonna be having autonomous robots. We're gonna be having all of these futuristic goals and dreams where AI is heading. And most importantly, we're going to be looking at ethical regulated and responsible AI. So obviously, because we're dealing with sensitive data, we're going to have to look at regulations. We're going to have to look at how do we actually use AI in a much more responsible way. We have to make sure that it's transparent, it is, it's not biased, it's quite safe, and it obviously protects privacy. So guys, as a final conclusion, this is the part where I have something called the Developers Digest, where we sort of like wrap up the whole conversation that we've been having today. Is the future of AI is being written today, and with the right knowledge, curiosity, and courage, you have the power to help write it. This is just the beginning. AI is not the future anymore, it is the present. And this is just the beginning of what we can build together. So I always encourage you guys to learn, to explore, to innovate, collaborate, and build. And that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Do make sure that you leave a comment, you like, and you subscribe. But you know what? Don't just leave a comment. How's about you drop me a question and I'll make sure that I will actually answer it. Please make sure you also follow me on all of Billionaire Developer platforms, TikTok, Instagram. But make sure, please, please, please do subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been good. It's been great. I go by the name of Koketso Fresh from Billionaire Developers, and I will see you in the next one.